at the second largest pharmaceutical company. His baby is a data mesh platform that was a mesh before we even knew what the word meant, that serves up semantically modeled taxonomies and code lists that in his mind should govern every data point that runs through his organization. It could be a really powerful backbone. He's annoyed that while he's been given the remit to go get teams on his platform, three different platforms within the R&D and commercial side of the pharmaceutical house have already sprung up point solutions, limiting his ability to grow. And he's concerned about the future of his mandate, his team, and his job at the company. Kelly was able to successfully deliver a pretty sophisticated semantic data catalog, governing 4 of the most complicated and largest data catalog vendors by a simple semantic concept taxonomy that they were able to then read and write into the systems, auto tag every unstructured and structured data asset, from images to audio to data tables, allow them, and for her marketing team, she's a hero because they just get a single, very uniform search experience to discover the marketing assets that they need to run campaigns. But though she's a hero, every time budgeting comes up, her team is asked to do more with less. Her remit is made smaller and smaller. And if she had a little bit more space, she knows with her architectural concepts, she could drive a lot more value. And she doesn't understand why all those guys up the top don't get it. Nadeem actually made a business case. He came to one of these conferences and he made a business case for the enterprise knowledge graph that would sit across 18 data models, across 18 different acquisitions his company made over the past 20 years to provide a uniform view, federated governance, distributed modeling, etc. He even put an ROI on cost savings. When he went and presented to his architecture team, they gave him 20% of his ask with a promise for more if he delivered. He said, okay, I'll take that. And when he delivered, he came to the dais and saw his budget pushed again, again, and again. A change in the market, new leadership, and he's realized that he's had to resell a set of folks who don't understand the value of a knowledge graph, all that he's built. Feels like pushing a rope up the hill. And he's not sure if he has the stamina, and not sure if his team wants what he has to give. So, what is this? What are these groups? What are these folks actually having in common? Does any of these stories sound maybe familiar? Raise your hand if it sounds familiar. Stuff that you've seen, maybe someone you work with, work for, someone that inspires you. Maybe it's yourself, right? These stories are not uncommon. They exist everywhere, right? These 3 folks represent a lot of people in this room. And like a lot of us, they have a few things in common. First, they're service-oriented. They want to do a good job. They don't need their name plastered or on a wall somewhere or get a promotion, though that might be nice. They're technologists at heart. They believe in the power of architecture to be better users of data, time, money, people, and move information across their organizations. And they really want to build their systems the right way, and they've spent a long time doing it. Now, what does the right way mean? Well, to them, like a lot of us, they were awed by the power of what a knowledge graph-driven architecture could do, allowing to approach these principles that seemed impossible, data centricity and FAIR principles, reuse, semantic search, powerful stuff. In truth, they ascribed to the religion, like all of us, knowledge graphs. Right? Like every religion, there's a lot of good principles and things that could and should happen. Like a lot of religions, doing it the right way takes a lot of debate. It's exactly what we're doing in the conference, right? There's different factions and approaches, sometimes a little bit of squabbles. But at the end of the day, we all have the same goal, which is we're trying to build some of the most sophisticated and interesting architectures and systems to help move our companies forward. And we've been successful because the other thing that links these three together is they've been good at selling the idea, selling this technical architecture, right? And it's because they stood some things up. Each of them have something out in the open. They've been masters at the technical sale. Technical sale is the same process every time, right? It's a select your architecture, select your religion, package all the benefits that architecture can give as vitamins, things that would be really valuable to your organizations. Things like, data centricity, the mesh, the fabric, like each of them moving data around efficiently, saving time, reducing redundancies, increasing interoperability, systems being synced at real time, streaming data. These are all fantastic things that if a user has them in their hands, they can take that chisel, build a mountain, build a house, make Michelangelo's David, right? They'd build a coalition of believers, people who agree, who understand those vitamins. And then lastly, you find a business need, right? Once you have all these things, let's go find teams that could use them. And these tools become incredibly powerful and has gotten people off the ground. This is the standard approach. This is really successful. What's the problem, though? I think we all know. Right? This is not just another business case conversation, but the problem is we're not used to bringing non-believers into the mix. You want to come here, we'll explain to you. But the idea of folks who don't understand the power of knowledge graphs, nor do they care or have the time or capacity to learn, we fall flat. And at the root of it is oftentimes those people hold the budgets for the next scale and the next investment. We work with a number of folks that are trying to build bigger and bigger semantic initiatives in their organizations. And oftentimes they eschew the need, not the need, but they eschew the ability or the desire to actually make the case to non-technical. We'll call them business folk, but that's right. Talking about the way things should be is really hard to bridge that with the way things works for us practically. It's an important step. Also, we don't often spend time convincing what's the business value, right? Because we often leave that and say, hey, we have some great tools here. We can build so many things. You can come and pick your own adventure. Prescription is not there as well. And frankly, we're often packaging this as a vitamin, not a painkiller, solving problems. A vitamin, things that can give you, move you further. The last piece is the folks who actually can sit between these two conversations, the business and the technical conversation. We treat them as unicorns. We treat them as magicians, people who can actually speak technical and business, right? We almost don't treat them as the rule, we treat them as the exception. Well, the conversation today is just about, listen, there's so many business case conversations, and that's our job every day, but is to actually say it's not magic. It's not easy, but it's doable based upon a set of principles that we've seen through over 200 deployments in the semantic world. So who am I? Why does my opinion matter? CEO of TopQuadrant. TopQuadrant is an enterprise data management solution serving north of 200 software customers in the Fortune 500. We're around the founding of the semantic web, the first W3C working group, our architects have created the first modeling tools from Protege and Composer, and then TopRate Edge was the first to market on being an enterprise-grade metadata management a knowledge graph-driven technological tool. And I tell you, we've lost customers because of this all the time, because our job every day is to help technologists go to the next level and take their initiatives further. So we spend our days coaching folks and making the case of what does it mean to talk to. And so in looking at the most successful implementations and these magicians, in scanning them, they all kind of come to one conclusion, right? They recognize we negotiate on interests, right? That's like a negotiation principle. We care about what we care about. And truly accepting the fact that a business user and a technical user just have different interests. They're not bad or good, just different, right? So technical users here, they're about an open box. They want to know how you built it and want to show actually and learn on better ways to. And the business user Not that they don't care. It's not in their interest. They want a closed book. They don't care about how it's done. They care about that it's done. Better, faster, cheaper. Okay? So today, we're going to talk a little bit about what that method and how do you engage that for both these groups. First is to talk about how you can take that technical sale and with a small tweak actually be able to be a magician and really just own your value. We'll talk about a few best practices through some case studies and wrap up. All right? Sound good? Good. So the last step here. So we talked about how you flip your sale. So the business and the technical sale, they're exactly the same information, just in a different order. Right? Where you start with the architectural principles and the approach on the technical side. Veronica talked yesterday about competency, or 2 days ago about competency questions and talking about pain. Like that's really what business users need, right? So you start with the pain, articulate it, build the coalition of people who feel that pain, typically diverse coalition, right? And instead of packaging all the benefits, the good, the shoulds, the best practices, the right way to, just talk about the painkiller that you're going to offer them. Don't tell them how. Don't even mention knowledge graphs. Times to start. Say that thing you're trying to get, I got you. And let the religion sell itself. Deliver on time, deliver with the outcomes that you know you can deliver on, and let people know that whatever you've built is scalable. This is fine in abstract, right? It's a nice little flip, right? But we'll show you what it looks like actually in practice. So, Joaquin, remember is this 6 minutes left? I don't have 6 minutes left here. Okay, good, just making sure. Otherwise, I really got to go fast. Okay. Good, we're perfect on time. Joaquin, we talked about him earlier, right? Master data, reference data, like loves that stuff. His team was on the chopping block, actually. Right? This was a team that helped put the COVID vaccine into market. He was on the chopping block because all these other single point solutions were winning out. So he actually recognized, hey, I got to do something a little bit different. First thing he did was build a coalition. So he had to find a pain that he was solving. He went to every team that he supported and said, hey, we're in the medical affairs side of our business. Medical affairs and pharma is your clinical trial management, right? The lifeblood of the business. What are we actually struggling with? And time again, be it a good corporate agenda, they recognize, hey, the only thing we're focused on is bringing drugs to market faster, right? We run 30 trials, one makes it through. That one represents $10 to $15 billion a year. Sorry, $15 billion over 10 years. That's $100 million a month. Every week, every month, every day has a direct dollar implication. And all the pains that we're feeling across that is a data problem. And therein, Joaquin got unlocked. Taking that coalition, what he did is he took these vitamins that they had, right? This fair control vocabularies and centralized governance and data inputs and outputs, harmonizing, and took all the benefits, the same content of like why this was really good, and flipped it to say, what is it actually doing for our teams? Our trial data, so it's not that our trials are broken because we need fair control vocabularies. It's our trial data doesn't harmonize. All right. It's not that we have good report authoring. It's that our centralized governance actually allows us to ensure that we can minimize time and minimize the time delivery of delivering reports. Put this all together, and he was able to put together a painkiller that really was just about, hey, fixate on that one goal and solve the one thing that you know you can, which is a data system that manages all your clinical trials. And really, it was about report authoring. So his business case was trial data management system. That group together, that coalition came and brought together 5 solutions, all perfect semantic use cases. But they stopped talking about enterprise knowledge graphs. It just said, we bring drugs faster to market. So, they came up with 5 focus areas. And the first was the easiest one, which is report authoring, which is just a data and a lineage problem with a little bit of quality tooling. And the first piece is they automated 3 data pipelines across the whole clinical trial system. Those 3 reports that they were able to create are the last 3 reports in the cycle, and take about, once a drug is done, it takes about 3 months to create these reports. They took that time by automating with some quality rules over 3 months, brought it down, the MVP, and brought it down to about 2.5 weeks. Most of that's human review. 2.5 weeks with $100 million a month, saving about 2.5 months there. Like, you guys can do the math. When Joaquin was able to put a number on the table and say, hey, I could stand by this, he was able to expand his team. That's not a problem. But actually the competition in the R&D came to him and said, hey, our systems are really broken because we're only siloed in one area. And he did a little bit of a trade. He said, hey, listen, you give me your data, I'll manage it. And I'll enrich the R&D data with all the clinical trial data that I've harmonized against my control vocabulary to actually give you better insights and outcomes. So he got a win-win, and he recognized it was the goal he wanted and not a way that he expected. Second, so Kelly, wealth management, content management system. So she was frustrated. She went and did what her advisor/therapist told her to do, which is inquire, put your inquiry hat on. Went to her marketing team and said, hey, why is this content system really valuable? Well, we run campaigns. And she just asked the 5 whys. Well, why is that important? Well, the campaigns drive a lot of activity for conversions. Why is that important? Well, our website is our place we convert. We serve up content to them. And over time, kept asking why, to realize, hey, this content's super valuable because it helps drive conversion. She also opened up her systems and provided an API interface for anyone in the organization to access her concept taxonomy. That taxonomy started getting hit a lot by marketing analytics teams. So what's important there? Well, we don't know how good our campaigns are. We think they're good. We feel it. We can't analyze it because all the systems don't talk to each other. And therein, she took a step back and said, all these things, these vitamins that I'm talking about, harmonizing and this and that, really what I've built here is not a content semantic search. I've actually built a clinical, this is the wrong order. There it is. What I've built is a digital funnel optimization, right? I take my website, all the website's doing is serving up content. I'm gonna take every content asset that we know is governed by the same taxonomy and provide a harmonization backbone. They identified a number of areas where data was the issue, and harmonization sitting between your marketing, your strategy, and your analytics teams. How do you provide them a common language to speak about? Every dashboard began talking about uniform concepts and tags. Every campaign had content types that were related to it, and she became someone who was able to talk about funnel optimization when all she did was she just knew how to create a taxonomy and talking about putting weightages on the types of content. So, certain types of images actually being more effective for this persona and this persona type. She became a business analyst, actually, but it was only because she had built a framework that allowed this all to happen. Interestingly enough, she focused the whole team around funnel optimization. She should have just talked to the VP of marketing, which is her boss's boss's boss. Her job description is just about website funnel optimization, literally clicking all the way to close for new brokers. The VP found out about this, and together they presented to the CMO. In that presentation, no one talked about knowledge. Well, they didn't start talking about knowledge graphs, but at the end, the CMO kind of knows how to talk about knowledge graphs at this point too. So she got some of her benefit through the end of it all. Third, the story around this 18 acquisitions, right? What's that? Yeah, we have 10 minutes. That's why this is wrong. I think it's 10 minutes left. Yeah. Is it? Okay. All right. Well, that's helpful. The story here is very simple. The idea that Nadine's enterprise layer was built with the ability to see across every one of these acquisitions that they had. And in building it, he recognized that I got to latch onto a corporate initiative. He latched onto one that he found out, which is around data monetization. In the monetization, he figured out, hey, there's many, many ways to monetize, but really the genius that sits between all these acquisitions is what the insights that you need to get. And so they ran a pipeline of initiatives and pilots on how to monetize multi-domain. So sitting between a payment system and a payer system, and all the reasons why the acquisition data is really valuable. Putting that together, they ran a focused pipeline on how much money they could create for every one of these initiatives. And the ability to analyze that provided a prioritization framework. How much money could you create per monetization initiative? And could it be built in the right way? Nadeem was able to say, hey, building the right way is just as long as it's semantically scalable in the knowledge graph format. So he got his goal, but latched onto a corporate initiative that the new CDO and the new team that he was on really needed someone to deliver on. So similar process, just about taking a solution, building a solution that's needed to the organization and being the owner of the how without selling it so much. So I guess on top of that, for him, he was able to then take that, and every time anyone needed something across the 18 different acquisitions, he's able to deliver on it based upon his metadata model, right? He wasn't wrong with his initial pitch. He just needed to get his foot in the door. Each time having people say, hey, if you build this for me, here's what I'll do for you. And so not only is this reality known in semantics, right? Monetization was fine. He's able to do that. That was pretty out the door. But then taking and working with the legal team on GDPR enforcement, doing more M&A and integrating data models, and then actually coordinating global marketing. Each of these being able to be a dollar figure that is valuable to the organization and the way that they work on. So,
all right, thanks, Nimit. That's great.
Thanks.
Do we have any questions? Or? All right, let's thank Nimit for his time. That's great.
Thank you.